it still works great. So.
Why does it say connect streaming software? Are we? Oh, there it is. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I hope you had a great long weekend. It is 9 o'clock in the morning, and we are the whole Dig In team here with you this morning. So let's take a look at our schedule before we get started, and then we'll get everybody to give you a wave, and we'll get going. So remember, if you go to jcps.me/NTI, click on the Teacher Toolkit, and go to that, what's that say right there? Live virtual learning schedule. It'll take you right here. It is 9 a.m. and we are about to go through NTI 2.0 synchronous learning tool updates. That'll be several members of the digital innovation team. And then the rest of our morning will be spent with the Savvis Realize team going through some training and how you can do that. Hopefully you should have accounts and be able to access all that information now, which is a little different from last week when you didn't have access to that. So, we have the whole team here this morning, again, which is awesome. So, my Zone 1 friends, Jack and Rebecca, if you want to give everybody a wave. And then we have Zone 2, Kathleen and Jim. And sorry, I didn't realize it was on your face the whole time, Kathleen. My bad. And then we have our Zone 3 friends, Russ and Steven. And then middle school zone, we have Elaine and Kyle. And then me and Danielle Washburn, we are your high school zone innovation leaders. And then we have our team lead, Heather Worrell. So thank you for joining us this morning. We are super excited to talk to you about Google Meets again. Whoa, it's not a cursed name in our district anymore. And we also are going to talk to you about Microsoft Teams as well. So we are going to turn it over first to Kyle and Danielle as they talk about Google Meets and everything going on with that.
Hey guys, good morning. Kyle Chandler here with the Miracle Middle Schools and joined by Danielle Washburn. Hey Danielle.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I think Danielle, affectionately known as DW on our team, I'm going to screen share first and go over a few things, and then we'll turn it over to you for some more info. Let's see here. Let me screen share. So we have some new features that we want to discuss with you guys. Can everybody see the screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can.
All right. So these are new features for Google Meet we want to go over with, and we're going to have all this information linked for you on the NTI Teacher Toolkit ASAP this morning. So they have introduced some new features as of last, really Thursday morning. I mean, these things are coming in fast and hot. And they have introduced really the big news is a lobby feature, quote unquote, that will allow you, just like you can with Microsoft Teams meetings, to admit folks before they just hop right in with the link. So you can turn on or off the waiting room. Knock is what they reference it as. You can eject the students. You can mute the participants one by one, disable the ability to chat, and the teacher can still chat with the students. So you can disable the student's ability to chat, but you as the meeting facilitator can still talk to them. You can turn on or off the ability for students to present their screen if you wanted them to. But you can also allow now still folks from outside of our domain to join if you want to, and or you can eject them if you need to. So some additional features and information. And we're going to go through a live demo of a lot of this here with you momentarily. So once you've admitted a student, if they lose the connection, they can rejoin again without permission. So if for some reason their internet goes out or what have you, you won't be getting disruptions in class. They can hop right back into the meeting. If you eject a student, they must then go back to the lobby. So that's an awesome feature. It'll cut down on disruptions for you as a teacher, admitting folks if they're having internet issues. But it will also allow force those that you need to remove to wait in a lobby area before you readmit them. If a teacher loses their connection, so if you as the host loses your connection, you can get back in, but the students are not removed. So you want to make sure you hop right back in if that happens to you for some reason. So there is a feature called Quick Access that is on by default, and that pretty much leaves things the way that we left them a couple weeks ago when NTI 2.0 kicked off. quick access basically allows folks to hop in and out at their leisure, and kind of negates all these controls I just described. So it takes a minute to think through the fact that you want quick access to be off. But once you turn quick access off, and we'll show you how to do this in a moment, you can enact the following controls. Because once the meeting is over and the teacher leaves, the students must wait until the teacher starts a meeting. So that feature, again, is back in. They can't hop in and out without you. You must first initiate it once you have, quote unquote, closed it. So now you have the ability, like you used to remove participant, remove participant, remove participant. The difference is they must go to a lobby or waiting room so you can actually clear your classroom. And then once you do, you close it down. It will not allow them back in. This is a neat feature as well, where it's the same as it's always been, but it was a question we got a lot with our other synchronous tools that we have at our disposal. And it was the first JCPS teacher account. Even if they didn't create it, that first teacher account is the account that gets the controls when they join a Google Meets. So that's neat. So if you wanted to share that with like a PLC group or a co-teacher or what have you, you can create a nickname, and if the link is sent, it expires. Okay, create nickname meet sessions. If link is sent by the URL, it expires after 10 minutes and then no re-entry. So Matt or DW, somebody want to help me clarify that one, please?
Yeah, so when you are creating that nickname link, so you will have to enter in that nickname, that URL, before it expires within 10 minutes. After that, then you will have to create a new nickname.
Okay, great. Recording, only the teacher accounts can record meetings, and those recordings live in the meetings creators Google Drive. So if you created it, or you're the teacher that hops in, if you created it, you will get it sent to your drive, but the co-teachers will get the link. The owner can change the settings of the folder for individual recordings. So I think that feature is the same as it was before, if I'm not mistaken. Guys, chime in if that's new, but definitely the teacher that created it, when that meeting is recorded, they will get that sent to their Google Drive, where we have unlimited storage. You can change all the sharing settings that you need to for your co-teachers. All of the same guidelines apply as before, and recommendations about not sharing those outside of the Google Classroom, and also, whenever possible, obscuring any faces or names of students. And there's more to come on that on the NTI 2.0 Teacher Toolkit. And if a student is late to a meeting, they can't see the previous chat stream. So that's something you'll want to keep an eye out for as well. So they've already uploaded a video here for you on some of these new features as well. And you'll see it is called Google Meets Update. Sorry about that. And so let's dive in. Let's take a quick peek here. So for example, hey baby, Yay Meets Lobby 2020 is the name of this. So whenever I get into the lobby, or I open that meeting up, as you'll see, I can copy the join info. All of this is the same. These things are all the same as they were before when we left off, and before we pivoted to some other new tools and introduced those. But if you grab the snowman down here in the bottom right hand corner for more options, you'll see this settings feature, and right there you'll see host controls. Now that's what's new. The quick access, again, is on by default, which leaves pretty much everything the way that it was. But when turned off, that's when these features become enacted, many of them. The host must join first. Only people invited can hop in without asking. Everyone else must ask to join. People can't join anonymously. Only hosts can dial out of the meeting. You can allow them, again, to share their screen when turned on or off. You can select the student or send the chat messages. Those are all features as well. So I'm going to turn that off, and that one, and that one. And again, you can do these live once you're in as well. So that's important to know. If you need to change something on the fly, you can. At this time, the only recommendation that we have is for, I got a little backup dancer here. At this time, the only recommendation that we have is for you guys to create these in your Google Classroom or on the short meeting link code. And I can show you that again real quick as well from the waffle. if you go to Meet, and then it will let you create a nickname or what have you right here. So that's how I came up with the one that I had over here a moment ago, the Yay Meets Lobby 2020.
Hey, Kyle.
Go ahead.
We got a question in the chat, which I've heard a couple times, and I think it was on the STC Speaks also. Is there a way to make the new settings set or stay so that students can't join before you have made the settings?
So go ahead, DW.
I was just gonna give you a little break. So as students are joining the meeting, it is the same as it was before. Students will have to leave the meeting and then the teacher will have to leave. Once that teacher leaves the meeting, no other student can join that teacher. I'm sorry, no other student can join that meeting. So it's just like the same way before. Students will have to leave, then the teacher leaves, and then students will not be able to get into that meeting. Once you start up that meeting, then you can change the settings on that particular meet.
But you cannot set the settings ahead of time.
Correct. You have to in the Google Meet to set those settings.
So remember, students can't get in until you open the door. But once you open the door, the first thing you want to do is to hit that setting and turn quick access off.
Correct.
So let me ask you guys this. Could you then, so would a good idea be then if you created your Google Meet in Google Classroom to not make that link visible until you have created that setting?
Correct. And that I believe I did say that in the video as well, to make the link visible, not visible, so you can get in there first. You can update those settings and then students can join in.
There you go.
Yep. Great questions.
Can you guys talk a little bit about what happens when we remove a student from a Google Meet?
Yes, so we really want to be careful with removing students because once a student is removed, and I believe Cal, he was going to show that that student will not be able to get into that Google Meet again. So that is ejecting that student from that Google Meet for a period of time. So then we will have to create a Google Meet to accept those students if that student really was supposed to be in your class.
Yeah, we got a few minutes. So let me see if I can show you what that looks like real quick. And just to double check with you guys as well. So since I'm the facilitator, I'm going to open this up and turn those quick access off. Anybody that tries to join is going to have to wait in that lobby.
Correct.
So let's see.
This is exciting because Google now has a lobby feature, or we call it knock, which is what we've been wanting from Google. Google heard us, Google heard our teachers, and now they made it happen for us. So this is really big news for our teachers and our educators.
All right, so I am setting up Test Lobby 2020 right now. Anybody that wants to pop in there with me, again, that's Test Lobby 2020. And hopefully, Matt, if you've got my screen, you guys can see me. Anybody that tries to join this,
I'm actually going to try to join with you, Kyle.
Great. And so as we're waiting for some of those first lobby notifications to come up, you'll notice the first thing I did was go to the snowman, and then I went to settings.
Okay, it's making me
There you go. I just heard, I don't know if you guys hear this or not, but I heard a little dialogue box on my end that said, doo-doo. It's almost like a door knock or a doorbell. And it says Danielle Washburn. Now, it says outside Jefferson County Public Schools, and we're working on that. We've seen that notification. What was the guidance on that, guys? I think, does this work like Teams with guests or no?
So the guidance on that is that we do have a class roster of who's in our class, so we are able to see who is in our class, and we are able to admit.
Hey, we need to get people to mute. I muted the Hangout for a minute because we had so much feedback coming in. Sorry.
Hey there, welcome.
Okay, we're back.
Got some folks joining us right now. You saw, guys, you were hopefully seeing that dialogue box that was popping up on me as folks were trying to hop in. I was having to hit admit, and then I can go in and I can mute or unmute. I've got my host controls here that'll pop back up for me. and I can let folks share their screen. This is for everyone. Or send chat messages, or I can go into all my host settings now. And again, this is not anything additional. This was no extra downloads. This is not some kind of cobbled extension thing, which Danielle will address with you here shortly. This is all baked into the platform now, to the tool, not platform, to the tool. So be sure to get in, dig around. We have a lot of resources coming out on the NTI 2.0 Teacher Resource Toolkit today to get you guys up to par. But dip your toes back in and see how you like it. DW, we've got a few, if you don't mind, if you could show them the extension piece. I'll put share
Yeah.
here.
And as you're on that screen, with anything else, just like with Google, there are multiple ways to get to the same thing in Google. So right there, that is what I call quick access to those settings controls, so you can quickly turn on and off those settings. And then you can also click in the top right corner to get to those settings as well. So I just want to throw that out there, that with Google, there are multiple ways to get to the same settings. Lastly, before we turning over to our amazing colleagues to talk about Microsoft Teams, I just want to show you about your Google extensions. So as we are, and I'm going to share my screen really, really quick. So as you are using the new settings, sometimes our extensions may get in the way. So what we want to do, we do want to remove those not extensions, those attendance tracker, any extension that you may have used with Google Meet. Now that Google Meet has updated, we do want to go ahead and remove those extensions. So you may see the extension next to your toolbar, or you may have to click on the puzzle piece. So as you click on the puzzle piece, this is where you can remove that extension. For example, the Google Hangouts, I no longer, like Russ says, never again need that extension, so I can have those updated controls in my Google Meet. So I do want to click on the three dots and click on remove from Chrome. So we just wanted to show you that just a little bit as you may be experiencing the new features in Google Meet. All right. So we're just gonna hop into the chat. So feel free, if you do have any questions, put them in the chat. Chandler and I and the rest of the digital innovation team, we will be in the chat answering your questions. So without further ado, I will now turn it over to the Microsoft Teams pros.
Thanks, Danielle and Kyle. So yeah, Kathleen and I are going to be talking to you about Microsoft Teams meetings. So Kathleen is going to share her screen for me. That way I'm not running like 85 different screen sharing services at once on my computer here today. So I'm going to click over to her. So Microsoft Teams, since we last met, has had a couple updates. Number one, we added chat for everybody, which is great. Number two, we added Breakout Rooms, which is also super cool. And Kathleen, I feel like I'm missing an option number 3, but I don't remember what it is. We pushed out the app to all students and teachers on their Chromebooks. So we're going to talk to you about those 3 things today, starting with the app. So hopefully you and your students notice that the app is now available for you on your TIP Chromebooks and devices. So we can see Jim's got his awesome little microphone set up right there. He's fancy. So you can see on the app here that Kathleen, through this Microsoft Teams meeting, is able to see 5 people at once on her screen. So with the app on your Chromebook or with your students, they should be seeing up to 9 people at a time through that app. So they'll have a gallery view of 9 people, and that's way better than the view of 1 person, which they had before using the browser edition. We are still hoping to work with Microsoft's engineers to get that 9 up to 49, which we know it can be if we were on a Windows or Mac app. So we can see Kathleen is admitting Kyle Chandler into the lobby. And we can also see along the side that we have the chat window pulled up as well. So if you guys don't mind to go ahead and start chatting in that would be awesome.
And it is important just to say one more time that depending on the device that you're using, Matt, it could change the view. So like he said, I'm on the computer and on the app on a Mac or PC. So it is going to look a little bit different if you're using a Chromebook as the moderator or the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that the chats are coming in. Oh my goodness, Kyle's having a blast with his GIFs or GIFs, however you want to say that. Matt, what can I do to for Kyle, because I need him to focus?
Okay, so one of the things you can do for Kyle is you could respond to him in the chat, but you can also remove him from the chat if he is being a little too distracting and you need him to stop. So, you should be able to do it right from this window, Kathleen.
Sure can.
So if you click on those 3 dots up there, whoops.
Okay.
Just kidding. Oh, never mind. No, you can't. So you have to actually go to the chat section outside of your meeting.
So, right, and this is the actual meeting. I can make this window a little bit smaller here, so you can kind of see here are my students. But then also, since I am in the app, I have the chat here as well. So I have all of my chats actually that have gone on with different Teams meetings. And I can click on the 3 little dots here and, well...
I think you can go to more actions.
It's not
Nope,
working.
just kidding. So go up to Kathleen. Do you see at the top right where it's got the people sign right there? Oh, that's not the right
Whoops.
one. Oop.
Sorry. Wrong. Oh, don't do that. Hold, please. There we go.
Okay, yeah, we're right next to join where it's got the number of
the
people
14
right there.
right here.
Yep. So we're going to click on that. That's going to bring up the participants inside our chat. And now, if you scroll next to Kyle's name, right there, you can see the X that appears on the right side of his name. You're going to click that, and that's going to remove Kyle from the chat.
So then I can remove him, and he no longer is able to do that. So as we said earlier, these updates are coming in so fast that we have different updates from last week to today. So that would be one way that we can remove Kyle. And while I'm here, Matt, I do want to remind those that are watching that if you were a part of a Teams meeting and the chat is still going on, over on the left, I can click on the 3 dots. Anytime you see these 3 dots, there's normally a menu back there. So I'm going to click on the more options, and I can either leave the meeting or I can hide the meeting, or even sometimes it'll let you mute. So you can see here, I have this Kentucky K-12 Microsoft. I have it muted. I don't want to leave, but I don't want to continue to get those dings and updates. So I've chosen to mute that. So make sure you look at those options on the left if the chat is becoming bothersome to you.
And again, like Kathleen said before, she is on the MacBook app, and that is going to look slightly different than you who are using it on the Chromebook app. So if you look at the top of her meeting window where it's you can see that the chat is underlined right there. If you're on the Chromebook app, clicking on that chat button is going to pull you over to a new window where you can see the chat going on, similar to what Kathleen just showed, and then you'll be able to remove people from there. You can also add people back into the chat, so if you think that Kyle has done his time and learned his lesson, you can also choose to add him back in and give him a second chance, although we know that Kyle is probably not going to learn his lesson. So
We're going to leave him out for right now.
Yes.
Good idea.
And also, just to mention, I know that some teachers would like the option of chat to be gone and not there, and do know that we are still working with the Microsoft engineers, and we've told them of this request from the teachers in JCPS. So hopefully soon they'll be able to code that for us to where teachers have the choice to turn the chat on or off. All right. So Matt, are we ready to go and talk about breakout rooms?
Yes, we are. Let's do it.
All right, so if you are looking at my screen now, again, I'm in the app, and up in the top right corner, if you were to see a little circle with, like, if I were Danielle and I had Danielle's picture was up here, that would mean that my app is not updated. So it is important that your app looks similar to mine in that I have the leave button up here in the top right and not a circle with my picture in it. That is one way on the app from a PC or Mac that you are able to see some of the new features. If you do have a circle on your app, we have instructions for how to do this on our one pager, I believe, right, guys? It's on the JCPS NTI site. But you would click on the 3 dots and choose to enable new features. So when you enable the new features, you then have the together mode and the gallery view on the PC or Mac app. So that's something that's also new. Right now, my colleagues, their cameras are off, but if I were to go to together mode, some of you may have seen this on Twitter or social media, we would all be sitting in the chairs or in the stands together. So fun fact, I believe, is it the what you call it? Is it basketball that they use this right now? I think Microsoft Teams.
Yes, they're using it for the NBA bubble. Yep.
Thank you. The NBA bubble. Thank you. I knew it was something like that. So now, since Kyle has his camera turned on, I'm able to see him. And when I turn my camera on, now I'm also there. So that's fun. But again, it's only on the PC or the Mac app. All right. So right next to my 3 dots, I have the little square with looks like breakouts. So I'm going to click on that breakout room. And now that I've done that, over on the right corner, breakout rooms opens up. Again, we have 3 dots here. So anytime I see 3 dots, maybe because I'm a nerd or I just know this, I know to click on it because I want to see what's back there. What setting options do I have? So I'm going to click on the 3 dots and go to Rooms Settings. Of course. Sorry. There we go. So you see what happened here. Just the Dig In team also has technology that decides to be glitchy, and we just keep trying. I had to refresh it for a second. My settings automatically move people into open rooms. So you can turn that on or off. Maybe you want them to just be put in the rooms by themselves, I would turn it on. Or if I want to put them in the rooms myself, I would turn it off. So, come on, app here. Whoops. There we go. All right, so those settings are there. Now, if I click on where it says assign participants, I have like a little calendar. There's a little bitty caret there, arrow. I'm going to click on it. I can choose to select all of my students here, or I can select separate ones. But first, I need to add a room. I don't have a room made yet to put them in. Oh, let's see, Matt.
Is it not working for you today?
I'm having trouble with my with something with my Mac. So normally you would click on add room, and then what it's going to do is it would let you add as many rooms as you would like. And I know we had a shout out to Central High School. One of their English teachers there loves breakout rooms and was using it all last week, experimenting with her high school students. So that's exciting that they jumped in with her and they dug in and were able to use these rooms. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it's my app here or what. Matt?
It might be. And so this is an issue that we experienced together, I think, the other day as well. So it could just be where the app is a little slow to update for some people. But again, we've had some success stories from different teachers. Kathleen told you about the teacher from Central that got these to work properly and loves using them. We also had several teachers at Atherton High School who were talking about how much they liked using them as well. So just because we're glitching doesn't mean the whole thing is glitched. It's just a problem with us.
And definitely try it out and experiment with your students. Like I said, like they did at Central, that a couple not glitches, but just trying to figure things out here and there, and then they were able to get that to work. The only thing I can think of is I'm in gallery mode, but I don't think that would
No,
matter,
I don't think it would.
Yeah.
All right, Kathleen, we've got 2 minutes left. We have a question in the chat I wanted to address. So Mylantha Williams said, curious to when Chromebooks will catch up on features accessible on the other laptops, especially since a lot of teachers are getting their laptops replaced with Chromebooks. And we know that this is a huge issue, and we really, really are pushing on Microsoft, their engineers and their executives to continue to roll out these features to Chromebooks on their apps. That way we know that all teachers have access to these things, because we know that's such a huge equity issue in teaching our students. So please keep pushing on us. We're going to keep pushing on them, and we will hopefully start to see those features roll out soon. But you can only go as fast as you can code, right? So, and luckily they're not like me, because it'd be taking years rather than weeks. So
in some cases days, right? Like they've really in some cases they've really been able to crank that out.
Alrighty, I'm trying to look and see if we have any other questions. Danielle, Kyle, Kathleen, Jim, any other final notes before we get off here and let our Savas friends take over?
Just real big shout out quickly to our partners. We're all about being digitally agile at JCPS. So the fact that we've had Google and Microsoft both dig in with us, you teachers out there that are watching this, the fact that you guys have been so nimble, it's amazing what we're doing for the students out there and what these big companies, how quickly they're reacting to what you are asking for. So keep it coming. Thank you.
Yeah, and a big thank you to the teachers along with that. As the tools have changed, we went from one tool to another one tool to where now we have two tools. We have the option to pick what we want to use. So we've just given ourselves options, and I think it's great. And people have done a great job getting to that point of using them very quickly.
I agree. Ditto to everyone. Shout out to our partners and our educators that are really sticking with us and going through this NTI. Let us know if you have any questions. We look forward to seeing all of your celebrations, all of your lessons, all of your growth on Twitter.
All right, thank you all, and thank you so much for being here with us. So if you're still joining us, please give a big thank you to the Dig In team, the digital innovation team, for being here this morning. So they're going to start to slowly file away here, and I'm going to go through a couple different things before we get our Savas friends on to do some Realize Part 1 training with us. So remember, you can go to jcps.me/NTI, and that will take you to this landing page right here for the NTI 2.0 Teacher Toolkit. We're going to click on that, and if we click on the live virtual learning schedule, it will take us here today. We will, and this might be linked on here already, it's not, the Microsoft Teams meetings and the Google Meets links, those different tip sheets and things that we had, we will get those both linked up here today for you. That way you can go back and have access to them. And remember that these sessions will be recorded and placed on jcpsdigitallearning.com. So if you were to go there, which is where you are right now, and you hit subscribe, whenever we post this video later today, you'll see it'll say morning September 8th. That will be finished around probably like 1 o'clock this afternoon. You can go back and watch this whole morning session, and then we will actually split this apart. So we'll have a Savas Realize Part 1 and Part 2 trainings, like an update for that as well. We'll update those videos. Remember, you can also follow us on Twitter at JCPSDigIn, and tweet to us using the hashtag JCPSDigIn, so we can tweet and retweet all the awesome things that you are doing with your students. So it is 9:32, and as you can see, I've actually eaten into a little bit of their time, and I'm very sorry about that. We have Brandon here from Savas with us. Welcome, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and I appreciate the introduction.
Well, it's great to have you. You have Savas Realize Training Part 1, so I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away so I don't eat into any more of your time this morning.
Fantastic, and thank you. And thanks to everyone for being here this morning. As I was introduced, my name is Brandon Abden. I am an educational specialist with Savas Learning, and I work primarily with Cincinnati Public Schools, but I also do work around the country with different programs to do things like we're doing right now. I also am originally from Kentucky. I grew up in Eastern Kentucky. Went to school at a large university in Lexington that I have been advised not to talk about on a Louisville presentation, but I'm very proud of that. And my wife went to the University of Louisville, so there you go. And we're both Kentucky natives, and we love it. And we love living in the Cincinnati area. So enough about that. We're going to spend some time looking at things that teachers always need to know when they get into the Realize platform. You're not going to learn enough this morning, and at some point you're going to feel like maybe you're drinking from a fire hose, but that's okay. You'll have this as a reference, and we have some excellent materials to which I will reference you at the end of the presentation, so that you'll be able to go back and look at some of these things and dig a little more deeper into the support that we provide for you as you use the Realize platform. So allow me to present my screen. Give me just a moment. And I am unable to click present to share my screen, it appears.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so let me try one more thing here.
Okay.
Yes. The button is working now. It wasn't working, so thank you.
Google Hangouts likes to do that, yeah.
I know, it definitely. So, all right, So just a couple of things on our agenda here. It looks long, and there's a lot of material here, but everything will connect and segue together, and I think you'll see how nicely everything works. The main goal here is that teachers learn how to access the content and then how to grab that content and access it for later, so that you don't get lost as you're working through the system and through the program. The next thing we'll look at is the student experience and what students see. We'll spend some brief time looking into that before we also close looking at data and looking at how we're supporting distance learning, which is a brand new thing for us that we're really excited about. Before I switch over to that platform, I think it's really important to talk about how this platform and the work that Realize does is founded on the same things as JCPS's instructional core. With this Realize platform, you can access and you will be standing on all the standards and curriculum that you need, all of the instructional materials that you need, and all of the assessment materials that you need. Now, that does not replace the teacher, and that is not giving you instruction and saying this is how you teach it. These are materials that are meant to help support what you do and to help supplement what you do. But I thought it was really important to talk about how these things are founded upon the same instructional core that JCPS is built upon. And I really appreciate your all's focus on that. So allow me to now switch out of this, and I will jump over to the Savas Realize platform. So once you have signed on to the Savas Realize platform through Clever, then you will be taken to this, what I call our landing page. Your landing page and the student landing page look almost identical. What you have in your circles will be slightly different. We'll look at that in just a moment. But let's spend a few minutes looking at just this page, because there's a lot of information on this page that will be very useful to you as you first start joining and logging on to Realize. The three circles across the middle are really the key things that teachers need on the day-to-day, especially the first two. Clicking on the Browse circle shows me all programs to which I have access. Since I am an ELA person and an ELA consultant, I have access to the ELA programs in Savas. Most of this presentation will use ELA content, but everything on Realize works pretty much the same way, regardless of the content. So here I am looking at my books, and we'll go into the content in just a moment. But when I'm in here, to get back to my landing page, you'll notice the black bar at the top. You can click on the far left, Savas Realize, and that brings you back to your landing page. That's your home button, is what I like to call it. So then I can click on classes. And when you have classes assigned to you, you'll be able to go in and see the classes. Because I only have one class assigned to me, it takes me straight into the class that I have assigned to me. That is a 9th grade course, and I'm able to see the assignments in that 9th grade course. And we'll break this down a little bit more in a moment. I'm going to come back to the main Realize landing page. And then the final circle is the data circle. Teachers might not use this on the daily, but it is pretty regularly visited. And you can go and see class results by assignment, student progress, usage. We'll look more closely into those in just a moment. So continuing to explore this landing page a little bit, I want to point you to this top black bar, which we've already looked at just slightly. Pardon me. So you see the same browse feature as here. I want to talk about why that is there, why we have it twice. So once you're past this home page, the landing page, and you start getting into the program, if you need to switch very quickly, you can. So these are essentially the same three circles color-coded at the top. So if I need to go back to browse, I can, if I don't want to go all the way back to the landing page. If I am in my classes and I'm looking closely at this.
Oh no. What just happened? What?
have completed it. There's one in progress and 9 start.
Oh, dang it.
Or I can jump over and hit data.
Hey, Brandon, I'm so sorry to do this to you. On my internet just cut out for a minute. It kicked me off the call. Could you go over like the
Sure.
last 3 minutes of what you just said? I am so sorry.
Sure. Can I ask you to tell me the last thing that you saw?
You were just talking about the data on there.
Okay, great. So I will back up just a little bit. Looking at the third circle, we see the data. And though we will dig in a little bit more deeply into this later, that's a quick jump into looking at specific information related to assignments, related to students, related to mastery, and so on. And then you can come straight back. So these are the 3 main things that teachers visit and probably need access to the most here. What's interesting is you think about the 3 pieces of the instructional core, and we're thinking about assessment, instruction, and standards and curriculum. We jump over here, we're thinking about assessment with the data and the information that we get from it. We're thinking about instruction in the classes and the in the classes link, and then we're thinking about standards and curriculum and how that is approached in the browse section. So really, we see the same 3 parts of the JCPS core reflected right here on our landing page. The other thing that I talked about just briefly, and I'll review for those of you who may have been kicked off the call, is this top black bar. And you'll notice that it reflects what's happening in the circles. We have the green with browse, the reddish orange, depending on the computer, with classes, and the blue with the data. So no matter where you are in the platform, if you're looking at a certain assignment and you want to jump back and look suddenly at the data related to that, you can jump over to the data tab. Now, the final one on the left here is the library. We'll spend some more time in the library here in just a little bit, but I want you to see that you have the opportunity not only to upload your own files and add your own links, but also to build your own test questions and write your own essay prompts. We'll talk in depth about playlists here in just a moment as well. A new feature in the last year, I don't know if that really counts it as new, but there's also a way to share content between teachers. And that is something that is a little bit more of an advanced option, and that's something you need to speak with your building administrator, whoever is the administrator for the Realize platform in your building or in your cluster. So I'm going to go back to our main site here. The final things I'll point out here on the far right, these icons. The search icon is a standard search, but you can search the entire platform for something. If you know that you saw something and you cannot remember where it was, but you know that there was a name in it, let's say you're an English teacher and you found a sheet relating to conflict and you will need to browse it because you can't find the original one. You can click on conflict, it searches the entire platform, and you want to narrow. You say, well, I'm a 12th grade teacher, so I'm only going to search. I know it was on the 12th grade platform, so I'm just going to look for 12th grade. You can continue to narrow this down just like you would if you were doing a search on any kind of database, if you were doing any kind of search on a library computer. It's a little bit different than Google or other searches because of the way we narrow here. But here I see 5 things, and here's this My Perspectives Plus ELA grade 6 through 12, reading analysis and literary analysis talking about conflict. Maybe that's the one. I can click on that then to preview it within the search. And yes, that's the one I was looking for. Then I can proceed to download that if I want. This one, these documents either download as Word documents or PDFs. In this case, it's a Word document that I can then open on my computer, edit. I can run it through Google Translate, and so on. So allow me to back up now. And again, it takes a moment. So I've searched for all this. I found what I needed. I'm just going to click on the Realize home button to go back to my landing page. With our bell is new notifications. If students have submitted something, if students have sent you a comment, you will see notifications about that up here. Our help, we will come back to at the very end, but this is a tremendous resource. Searching the help will help you find, of course, frequently asked questions. But then we also have program training, which takes you directly to our My Savas training website. And then you can click on technical support, which takes you to customer care. You can also click on contact a program specialist. You can try a live chat. And when you do a live chat, you are actually getting somebody that knows the program and is responding to it. I often am on the live chat. My colleagues who work closely with this program are often on live chat. If you cannot find a live chat, you can leave a message and you'll get a response. Finally, the little abstract person icon is your settings icon. You can click on settings, and if there's a program that you should have access to that you're not seeing, you can click on My Programs, and you can scroll the programs that your district has access to and choose that, making certain to click Save at the very bottom of the screen. There's also other options on the settings menu to slightly edit your account, reset your password. And if you are making connections with Google Classroom, which we're not going to go into today, but there are other trainings related to this that JCPS has done, then you can also manage some of that work here as well. So that is really the nuts and bolts of this main landing page. And from here, you have access to everything you need. It's very nice because it's not too much information. It serves as an excellent gateway into all the information that you do need. So now I'm going to spend some time looking at how you can access content. Again, I'm going to be focusing on accessing English content, but the way you access content for any of your programs should be very similar. So I'm going to go to Browse, and because I have chosen the My Perspectives English Language Arts programs as my favorites, because those are the ones with which I work most closely, those are occurring at the top. You may want to organize it by grade so that you see K all the way through 12. You could organize it by subject if you have access to multiple subjects. I know this is sometimes nice for intervention specialists and reading specialists who are working in social studies and history and English, or intervention specialists who are working across multiple grades, multiple subjects. Favorites works best for me. And then I'm going to click on the program and the grade level that I work with. So I'm going to click grade 9 here. When I click on grade 9, I see these large tabs that give me access to all of the content that I need within this platform. There's a lot of content here. There's a lot of content for all of the programs. I'm going to talk to you about how you can navigate and arrange things so that you're regularly looking at the things that are most useful and most helpful to you in your experience. The first thing I like to do, and this is a personal preference, I prefer to see it in list view. I'm the type of person who likes to see everything in order. Because of that, one of the things I also like to do as I get used to what I'm going to use, I can click rearrange and immediately start moving these tabs around so that I can move the things that I'm going to use most often near the top, and maybe the things that I use least often near the bottom. Now, I don't do that and save it right here because because I'm always demonstrating this for people. But if I were using it on the daily for this ELA program, I would have unit resources and assessments at the very top. Because in this particular program, I could really do everything I need to do, August through May or June, and never leave these two tabs. But let's talk about what's here, because this mirrors a lot of what's in other programs as well. Immediately you see an introduction to the Google Classroom integration. And I can click on that and it would walk me through a video that shows me, that talks to me about that and links me to some resources. Also, getting started with My Perspectives is focusing on the My Perspectives ELA. But we have menus like this in other programs as well, where you have access to program overviews, teacher information, PDFs that help with as teacher resources, and also unit planning guides. So look for those in whichever program you're using. Now, new to us is the distance learning tab, and I'm going to come back to that at the very end of the session. A little further down are the two tabs that I talked about for this particular program, where I will spend most of my time. You'll also notice on the right-hand side, and this is endemic of pretty much every program I've seen, you have different drop-down menus and different tools that you can use. Teacher resources is a really valuable tool in each program for different reasons. In this case, teacher resources is a great tool in the My Perspectives program because it provides direct links to PDFs of the teacher's edition. So instead of teachers having to schlep around the giant My Perspectives teacher edition, they have access directly to the PDF here. And it's a searchable PDF. And they can also add notes to it through regular PDF programs and so on. Lots of teachers find that very useful. And for many programs, similar things are available. You also have access to other tools for your platform. In this case, we see current events. Current events is a partnership tool that we have with an organization called ListenWise, where teachers can find content related to what they're teaching on ListenWise, and they have current events, new content related to, that is audio, video, different types of media, and is thematically related to the units in the program. If you're not an ELA person or you're not teaching ELA, My Perspectives ELA, you need to know you also have access to other similar type resources here in the teacher resources. You'll also notice the teaching channel. This is something that is valuable to every program at every grade level. When I go to the teaching channel, I have access to so many videos and so much information about how to do, how to integrate certain things. It's very valuable, very useful. It's an excellent partnership. All right. Other things you'll see here, create content. Again, similar to what you saw in the library. Upload a file, add a link, build a test, write an essay prompt. You'll have similar things in other platforms. And then My Content. And it says if you've added information, if you've added materials for My Perspectives, you would have information, you would have links to that here. We do not. So what I'm going to talk about now is how you can grab material that you would assign to students. This will look slightly different based upon the program, but the functionality is almost identical. So I'm going to go into the unit resources for this ELA program, and I'm going to go ahead and go into this first unit, American Voices. You'll pardon me while I get a quick drink of water. So in this unit, you'll notice that I have lots of different options, but every now and then I'll have an option that has a little caret or arrow over to the right-hand side. All that's telling me is that there's information under that is a title for, or a folder with other information in it. So if I use the back arrow, which I should try to always use the back arrow that's in the program, it'll take me back to this, and you'll see here that my options are slightly different for this unit introduction than they are for, say, this Spanish home connection letter. This letter itself, I can assign it. We'll talk about what that looks like in just a moment. I can add it to directly to a playlist. Here, however, I cannot assign it, nor can I add it directly to a playlist. And it's because there's information under here. If I click on it, then here are the things that I can both assign and add to a playlist. We'll talk about playlists in just a second. I'm going back to that unit screen now, because in Unit 1, I know that I want to teach these 3 texts. These 3 texts are essential to getting students into the theme of the unit. So I'm going to look at the information that is under this text. So here's the list of information listed. So here's the text I would teach, and this would take me directly into the Realize Reader, where students would interact with this text, and it's a slightly different iteration of the Realize platform that we're not going to dig into today. But then I also have all of these supplemental materials to help teach. And those of you who aren't English teachers, or those of you who are even, I'll say, no, you wouldn't be expected to teach every single thing here with the text. These are all things that you might use to supplement your instruction. But I know there are certain things I'm going to use when I teach this text. For instance, I'm going to use the text itself, so I'm going to select that. This accessible leveled text is a text that is adjusted slightly for students who may be struggling as readers. The students can still complete the same activities as those who read the regular text, but the text is just more accessible for different reasons. So I'm going to select that. I know I certainly want to use the audio summary. I'm not going to worry about first read extension questions yet for a number of reasons, but it is the first unit, so I'm going to wait on that. But I know that students struggle with craft and structure of text, analyzing the way a text is built, the organization and structure of it. So that's something that I want to grab. And then I also see that there's the same title, but it says R&P. In this program, that means reteach and practice. Sometimes teachers will call it remediation and practice. Could be the same thing, but it's really reteach. I'm going to grab that and then see if there's anything else I want to grab. Not right now. No, I know for sure that these are the things I'm going to do with this first text, as well as the activities that come in the Realize Reader when students do this. Well, in the past, when I was planning, when I was teaching in the high school classroom, I would find these resources and find these tools, and I would make lists by hand, or I would put something into a spreadsheet. No longer is that necessary. Go to Add Selected to Playlist, and I'm going to create a new playlist. I'm going to title this one Grade 9, Unit 1, Built. Built of the Country is the name of the text. I'm going to create that playlist. And no, I'm not going to go to the playlist yet. I'm going to close it. So now I have everything that I probably want to use from this unit with this particular text. Well, if I go back, it's the next day, and I need to access those things. Instead of having to click here and then go in, go back to the unit, go back in, find those things, look at my notes and check and say, did I want to do this? Did I want to do the reteach and practice? I don't have to do any of that. Because I created that playlist, from my landing page, I simply go to my library. And here in this pinkish, fuchsia, whatever you want to call it, tab is my playlist with a direct link to everything that I wanted to use. From here, I can either assign all of them, and when I make an assignment, I select the start date, I select the due date, I provide instructions, And then I can enter the name of the class. In this case, I have a 9th grade class, so I could assign it to all of them. Or I also have a reading group that I have titled, and they do not see the title, but I have titled One Reading Level Back. And that tells me that this is a reading group that I'm going to have to work on remediation or some reteaching with. And maybe I only want to assign it to those 2 or 3 students. We'll talk about that in a moment when we get to looking briefly at the classes. Or I just want to assign it to one student. So I have a student here named Sturgill Simpson, who's you might know, is a Kentucky musician and one of my favorites. And so I've created a student here named Sturgill Simpson, who's in the 9th grade, and I could assign that just to Sturgill if I wished. But I'm not done with this playlist yet, so I'm going to get out of here. Because I mentioned earlier that this is not meant to replace you as the teacher. This is meant to help supplement what you're doing and help provide you with materials so that you can do it. This doesn't do the teaching, you do the teaching. So I want to include some of my own classroom materials in this. I'm going to upload a file, find it from my computer, and I want to find this rubric that I've been working with. And let's see if I can find that rubric. Here it is. So let's grab this rubric. And I'm going to add that. And I forgot to give it a title. I have to give it my own title. So I'm going to call it Classroom Trusted Rubric. I'm going to spell rubric correctly. And you do have to certify that you have the right to use this information. I'm going to add that. It uploads. You don't see it here, do you? Well, I learned pretty quickly that you have to refresh. And there it is. And I've also added some other things here. So here's a video called We Are a Nation of Immigrants. And it takes me outside. It's a YouTube link to a John F. Kennedy address, the American Defamation League. And I want to use that video with that same text. So now, since I have my rubric and my Nation of Immigrants, I can add those to the same playlist. So let's add that to my 9th grade quilt playlist. And let's add the rubric to the same playlist. So now as I begin instructing and providing materials to my students that I want them to do, all I have to do is go to my library, click on my playlist, and here's everything that I'm going to use as I teach that. From this point, I've already showed you how I can assign it all. I can also go into the 3 dots and assign individually if I wish. So let's go ahead and assign one of these. I'm going to assign this text. I'm assigning it today. It is due on Friday. I would cut and paste instructions in there. And I'm going to assign that just to that one student, just to Sturgill. Now, before I click assign here, I want to point out a couple of things about what else you see on here. You can get so particular as to set start and end times if you want to. It's up to you and how you want to manage your students and manage the work that's happening. I can also select report back data on included activities if I want to see more particular data on that or not. It just depends on what I want students to do. With the instructions, I encourage teachers with whom I work to type those instructions out in a Google document or in a Word document and then cut and paste them into here so that they have them in case something happens to this screen while you're typing. You know, it's easy to get distracted, stuff times out, and you end up losing it. Here's another hint that I've given to a lot of people. If you are comfortable using some sort of screen capture program, Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic, Google has some functionality like that, or others. I encourage people to create a 2 or 3 minute video that provide the instructions like I'm providing this to you right now, and then put that link in here so that students can see you giving the directions and can also rewind and replay those directions. That's also a tool for you, especially with remote and non-traditional instruction, so that the students, you don't have to provide the same instructions over and over again for every class. I would even recommend that for non-remote instruction. So consider that. But all those things considered, I have it set up the way I want it set. I have it assigned to the one student to whom I wish to assign it. I'm going to click assign, and it says, nice, I've created an assignment. So now that I have shown you how all of these materials work across the top, looking at the browse, looking at classes briefly, looking at data briefly in the library, I want to go dig into one more piece of content before we look a little more closely at the student experience. So I'm going to click on my home button to take me back to my landing page. I'm going to go to Browse, and I'm going to go to my 9th grade book again. So earlier I had mentioned that you could teach this particular program. I feel like you could teach most of it and be successful all year with just these 2 tabs. The second one I want to look at here is this Assessments tab. And assessments might look slightly different in each program. The way you assess might look slightly different in each program. For the My Perspectives program, assessments are always this bright orange color. And we have certain types of assessments that all fall under this folder. Selection tests, we have extension selection tests if teachers wish to use them. Unit tests and beginning, middle, end of year tests. All of the assessments throughout the Realize platform have similar functions. So I'm going to go into this unit test. I'm going to find the Unit 2 test. And here you see several options. Here's the online selected and short response. I can assign it. I can add it to a playlist. I can customize it. By customizing it, I can go in. I can see each question. I can see the standard to which it is related. I could delete this question from this test if I wish. The moment I delete this question from this test, I'm not deleting it from the entire platform. This question doesn't disappear completely. I've just told the program that I'm going to create a custom test. I can always go back and refine this and add it to it if I wish to, so on. Notice I can add questions from a test bank. I'm weary of that sometimes because writing these questions is not always as easy, but I know some teachers like to include certain things about certain pieces of content or certain material. English being a very skills-based program, it's a little bit different. So I can go through all of the questions for this particular test if I wish, looking at how they're related. I'm going to back up now. The other option here is remediation, where I have connections to all of the standards that are assessed on this test. And then I also have access to remediation tools that I can use with particular students. So having all of these options for assessments is pretty common across the different platforms on the Realize platform, the different programs on the Realize platform. Here I see the print assessment. It's the same as the online, it's just print. I see answer keys, and I also see an interpretation guide. The interpretation guides are outstanding because they walk through the alignment of each test item to objectives and instructional standards, as well as depth of knowledge. The reason I show all of this is because I'm going to go ahead and make an assignment, and I'm going to assign this next week. I'm going to assign it for Wednesday. It's due Thursday. I'm going to drop in some directions, and I'm going to go ahead and assign it to my entire 9th grade class. And there I've created my assignment. So now almost all of the functionality of the platform you have seen. We're going to jump over and see for just a few minutes what this looks like for students and how students will interact with it. So pardon me while I switch out and sign into my mock student account. And yes, though this looks almost identical to the screen we were just looking at, this is the student account. So you see the student only has access to the 9th grade ELA, My Perspectives. Under classes for the student, you see that it's telling the student that August 26th is the due date of the next assignment. All right, well, that's already passed. We know that. So we'll look and see what that looks like in just a moment. And then grades, the student sees that they have 10 assignments that they've completed, and they can go in and view their grades. So let's see what this looks like. Click on Browse. We're taken straight into the textbook. Now, if your students have multiple Savas texts, Savas programs, there will be more than just ELA listed here. When they click Browse, they will have to select the program and go into it. However, I don't know that it is necessary when things are being assigned to students for them to click on Browse. They simply need to click on Classes, and they will see things that they have not yet started. Well, here's Quilt of a Country Student Edition. When it's due, this is the one that was just assigned by us a few minutes ago. Here are tasks that are currently in progress. So here they're currently working on the immigrant contribution, and this tells them it was late. It was due at the end of August. The platform will still accept the work that is done, but it will flag it as late. And then it shows them work that is complete. And in some cases, it'll say, for instance, this needs to be scored by your teacher. This one was scored by on the platform. It's important to note this because often students will begin something and they'll go back into the platform and they'll say they cannot find it. Once students have started something that has been assigned to them, it never goes away. It's always here. They simply need to pay attention to the in progress. Once they click on in progress, they can go into it, click on it, and continue the work they were doing on it. When they are ready, they turn it in, the top right-hand side. So I'm going to go back to the main page, and here we see grades. The student can see a breakdown. This is the scored test for mastery. They're seeing that they got a 50% on it. They can click on that, and they can see a direct connection to the skills with which they need more practice. Here are the skills that they've successfully completed mastery on. And then here's a breakdown of the questions. I'm going to back out of here. Scroll down and continue. They can see their progress on the assignments and tasks. They've completed 2 of these on time. They've completed nothing that's past due. They have these in progress and these not started. So students can see what their workload is like. And these are active bars. If they click on the bar, it takes them directly to the work. So students have access to their own grades, but it looks a little bit different than just the grade. It shows them the progress that they're making with certain skills. It shows them the progress that they're making with certain tasks. It's much more interactive than just having a number up from a grade book. So now, I'm going to take us back out of the student experience and into the teacher experience once again. In this teacher experience, I'm going to spend time for the next few minutes looking at both the classes and data tabs. So clicking on classes, you can see the one class I have assigned to me is this 9th grade class. I'm going to click on this class. Well, before I click on this class, I want you to see the options you have on this page. You can click on assignments directly and see either assignments by class or assignments by student. And you can see details related to the student status, the average score, tells you that there's one not scored. This is so much nicer for me as a teacher than to think I've got all these different stacks turned different directions, and I've got to post it on top of this one in this one stack because I haven't scored it, and different ways I had of keeping track of work as it was coming into me. But then I can also see assignments by students and see that this student here, Tyler, only has 11 not completed assignments. But as I scroll down, I see Sturgill only has 4. He's got an 88%. And there's one of them that's not been scored completely. I can click on that, and it takes me to Sturgill's work, and I can see, okay, here's one that's past due. Here's one that's past due. Here's one he's completed, but I've not scored it yet. I'm going to go back to here, and I want you to see you also have a calendar. I really like this calendar. It allows me to see the due dates of things as they're coming and also as they have passed. So here's the 20th, the 26th, the 27th. These are active, so I can click on them. It takes me to them, allows me to see them. And if students had work done in there, I would be able to score that work. Continue backing up here. Here I'm back to my calendar. And I do want to note, it's very small, but it's helpful. You only see Monday through Friday here. You can show weekends if you'd like. I know doing remote work and sometimes some things you want to give students extra time, however you want to manage that. You also have discussion board prompts that you can assign. Here's where you would set students and groups. So clicking on students and groups, I can often reset the password for a student, but I cannot see what that student's password is. Your options here might vary based upon the district's options. So it may be that you need the district to reset passwords for you. I can't address that directly. But I want to see groups. So here's my group that is that one reading level back that I talked about earlier. I'm going to click on Manage Students and Groups. And here I see that there are 4 students in this group, and it lists their names. And then over here I can see the 4. Maybe I want to add this student to the same group. So see, she's automatically added. I can save it. If I want to create a group, the students don't see the names of the groups. I want to call this Accelerated Reading +1. These are my students who are reading on average a grade level above. I'm going to manage students. So I'm going to add Sturgill to that one because he's rocking it. And I'm going to add Daisy May, which is actually the name of my dog, to that one. And then I'm going to save. So now I have 2 groups with which I'm working. You can also manage some of your class settings or hide the class if you didn't want to see this one because you had so many others you were managing. But once I'm inside that class, I can see assignments by class. Assignments by students, or I can see assignments by class. And you notice the options across the top are similar to the ones that we had just a moment ago. I have options to view all assignments, view the class assignments, view a group's assignments, when, so I can narrow it down so you're not seeing, it's not March and you're seeing the last 6 months of assignments. One of the last things I'll show you on this part of the platform is the Data tab. So you click on Data and it splits it out by class. And you see you have these 2 options, class results by assignment, class mastery by standard. This data tab is one of my favorite things. I have a background in assessment. I also have a background in administration. And so I really like to be able to see things break down the way that this breaks them down. This data is going to look incomplete because this is a demo account with only 1 or 2 students actually active in it, but I think you'll get the idea. Here's the average score on completed tests. And please note that the bar is active. I can mouse over the bar and see what the name of it was, when it was due, the class average. I click on that. It takes me into class results by assignment. It takes me into the analysis of the selection test. Standard analysis, question analysis, student analysis, and performance analysis. I can see standard analysis and it's checking for mastery. And here, mastery is 70%. You can customize this in your settings if you wish. Just please make certain that you're doing it in conversation with the other people who are teaching the same grade levels and in your department. Percentage of students scoring above 70% is considered mastery. So since this student got these 2 questions right, it's 100%. But since 2 of these 7 have been missed, it's 0%. They're not getting mastery. They either get mastery or they don't. Here I can see the standard. And then from the standard, because this program is not just about assessing, the program, My Perspectives program, as well as Realize, is about moving students forward. I can view resources. It takes just a moment to load because it's searching through the whole platform. Because we're short for time. Oh, there we go. And it shows you all the resources that are tied to that standard. You see, there's really way too many here to use. It would just help me narrow things. So maybe I want to look for a specific teacher resource, something I can use as a teacher to help improve my understanding of it, maybe, so that I can use it with students. And yeah, it's reteaching and practice tools. So I went from a whole lot down to just these 5. So I'll back up. Can also look at the question analysis, and this breaks down each question. I can click on the question. It takes me to that question, shows me the standard, how many points it was all worth. And if I had multiple students doing it, I could go down through and look at the multiple students, look at previous and next, and actually analyze how individual students did on the questions. I can look at student analysis and have it break down by student. And then also performance analysis. Here's where I would change my breakpoint. If I have multiple students doing this test, I could change this, hit show performances. It would show me every student who scored less than 70%, every student who scored more than 70%. So maybe I want to break this to 50, show my performance, and here, students who scored more than 50%, well, Sturgill, he got 50% or higher. And it moves him. That's also a great tool. And then I can assign resources to those students. If the student was lower than they needed to be, I can click Assign Resources. And again, it brings me over here to information that I might use. So I'm going to go again to Teacher Resources, and it's going to find all those reteaching and practice tools that I could use, things that I could assign to students to help improve performance. All right. We can also see student progress in the course, 25% class or group average on completing all assignments. And I can see each one listed as I go across. Again, these are active bars. I can click on them. I can see specific information on each one. And I can continue to go through next assignment, previous assignment, etc. And then at the very bottom, I love this tool. You can see average time spent per assignment and the way it breaks down, and I can see how much time we're taking for each assignment or each task. I can click on the active bar and see how much each individual student spent. So if I come here, let's pick one where we had multiple students. Here I have multiple students who were assigned this, and it would tell me how much time they spent with each part, how much time they spent in total. And Sturgill's the only one in this class who ever does anything. All right. We've already spent some time looking at class mastery by standard. I just wanted to reiterate this because all of this information is curried from assessments over time, not just one assessment. And I can export data. You can create a CSV file that exports to a spreadsheet that allows you to move data around, look at data in different ways. I appreciate doing that. And I know lots of assessment people and intervention specialists and special education people like to be able to do that, to look at individual students' data in different ways. All right, the last thing I will show you is our newest feature. So coming back to our landing page here, I'm going to click Browse. I'm going to select one of my programs. So let's just go back to that 9th grade literature. And here you'll see distance learning. And at the top here, you see what we call a toggle. And this is distance learning resources. If you turn this on, then it only shows things that are useful or usable for remote learning, for distance learning, however you want to call it. So here I'm looking at distance learning. If I go into this menu, there is a wealth of resources here that are newer resources. Here's an overview of the support that's being provided. A white paper to walk you through it all, gives you a click through, everything you could need. You also have guides to it. You have outlines of how to integrate certain kinds of instruction. You have a distance learning lesson plan template, and this is just from my perspectives. This isn't talking about all the material available for all the other programs on the Realize platform. So it's very, very useful. I strongly encourage you spend some time looking at that. So now I'm going to leave Realize and go back over to my PowerPoint. Hopefully you see how everything I've talked about in the last hour ties directly back to this instructional core at JCPS. Standards and curriculum instruction and assessment. All at the student at the center. The student can interact and see all of these materials. Some essential tools that I encourage you to check out, mysavastraining.com. You'll want to search for Realize. They also have lots of great training for whatever program you're working with there. And you'll see that what it provides there, standards aligned content, flexible class management tools. And it also has information on the Google integration on there. Savas Realize Help is on the main landing page where you're clicking the question mark and getting the help for that. Again, very useful. And also check out our YouTube page. The Savas, you can search Savas on YouTube and be taken to Savas Learning. We have a playlist for Realize, but there's also a number of resources there on how to use different programs. And even if you're not using a main program, how to integrate instruction in different ways across different Savas learning programs. So with that, I would just very much like to pause to see if there's any questions with the group before we wrap up.
No, Brandon, I didn't see any questions. Thank you so much. And thank you for pointing out where our teachers can go to get more of those trainings as well. I appreciate that.
Happy to do it. And please let me know if there's anything else I can do. We really appreciate everything you all are doing to support teachers there at JCPS. And teachers, we want you to know that we realize and recognize everything you're being asked to do now too. Thank you all. Have a great year.
Thank you. And are you going to be back this afternoon to do part 1 again? Is that right?
That's absolutely right.
All right. Well, we will see you then. You'll be with my coworker, Jim, this afternoon. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. So you heard Brandon say you could go to those different resources to find those trainings. You can also go to jcps.me/NTI and go down to the core NTI 2.0 curricular and instructional tools on the teacher toolkit. And my Savas training, there is a link right there to go to Savas Realize training as well. If you look at our schedule, we just got done with Savas Realize Training Part 1, and we are about to jump into Savas Realize Training Part 2 as we go into our lunch break here. So we'll have that training, and then we'll be at lunch. And then after, we will be back at 12:30 to finish out the rest of our schedule for the day. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at JCPSDigIn. That stands for Digital Innovation. Please tweet at us the awesome things you are doing and your students and coworkers are doing using the hashtag JCPSDigIn. We love to see that stuff. We love to retweet it and like it. And as you can see, tomorrow we have our school digital innovation leaders meeting at 4 o'clock to learn and grow together. And then on Thursday we have our STCs meeting together as well. You can also go to the JCPS Digital Learning channel, which you are currently watching us on. And if you go to videos, you can see that we have our Savas Realize Part 1 and Part 2 trainings from 8:31 on there as well. And after today, Jim and I will work to get those new trainings up for you guys as well for any updates and things there might be with that. So we are going to move into Savas Realize Training Part 2, just like it says on our schedule here. And I believe we have Ryan with us now. Is that correct?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Vankel, and I will be presenting you a sort of overview of how to use Realize with your Google Classroom classes. So I guess I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Or...
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. And thank you for joining us today.
Welcome.
And while you're getting your screen shared, if you guys are joining us, chat side, please let us know where you're teaching or where you work, and if you have any questions. All right, Ryan, it's all yours, man.
All right. Well, good afternoon, or I'm sorry, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And what I'm going to do today is just give you guys an overview of the functionality that you have with Savas Realize and Google Classroom. So I want to first start off by mentioning that, the first thing you would all like to do is to go ahead and connect your Google Classroom class to Realize. And that's a real simple process. If you were to be on the Savas Realize landing page here, it'll look similar to what you see right here. You can either choose this red circle that says classes, or at the top on this banner here, you can go ahead and choose that classes button. And once you see that, choose that classes button, you'll see that you have the capability to import Google Classes. When you choose that, it will go ahead and take you to this page that looks similar to this. And that allows you to go ahead and import any Google Classroom classes that you would like to import. Once you've imported those classes, you'll go back to a screen that looks like this. Once you finish importing, it'll take you back to that screen, and then you'll see the last time that that class was synced with Google. And this button right here will allow you to, sort of take you directly to your Google Classroom class at classroom.google.com. So I would just go ahead and click that button here, and then I can see my Google Classroom class. Now, I know that you guys learned a lot about the functionality with Realize in that very first training that you just had. So I want to mention pretty much all of the functionality that you see with Realize can be applied with your Google Classroom class. Okay, that means that if you assign content to your students, it is automatically assigned to your Google Classroom class, and your students can see it from Google Classroom. Therefore, your students can log in directly into Google Classroom and click on an assignment from their stream, and that will take them directly into our digital platform, Realize. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that for you guys in a little bit. But before I go into that demonstration, I do want to mention that when you're in your classes in this screen right here, you'll know that you successfully imported your Google Classroom class because you'll see the name. And towards the top right, you'll see the little Google Classroom icon. That indicates that that is indeed a Google Classroom class. Okay? You may have seen another class, and I have some classes hidden here that do not have the Google Classroom icon. That indicates that those are classes that are rostered a little differently, okay? And I purposely hid them in order to avoid any confusion with my students and myself when I'm assigning content to them. Because I know that I want all of my students to simply access the Google Classroom class. I'm gonna pause here for a second and see if there are any questions.
Whoops.
Just
No,
let me-
I haven't seen any yet.
No questions yet. All right. Well, feel free to stop me at any time if there are any questions. All right. So let's take a look at how we can go ahead and assign content to our students through Google Classroom, okay? And through Realize. All right. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and choose this button right here at the top left. That's Savvis Realize. And whenever I choose that button, it just takes me back to that main landing page. So if I ever get lost or I forget where I'm going or I'm trying to access something, hitting that button at the top left that says Savvis Realize allows me to takes me back to that main landing page. If you want to see which one of your emails, or I'm sorry, which Google Classroom class is attached to Realize, you can just go ahead and choose this button at the top right. It has a silhouette and a triangle. Then choose Settings. Now, once you choose Settings, you'll come to this tab that says Account, and you can scroll all the way down and see exactly which Google Classroom account is attached to Realize. So I just happen to have a demo account here attached to Realize just to show you guys, but you should already know how to create a Google Classroom class, and simply here you would simply be able to attach that Google Classroom class to your Realize account, right? All right. Now, again, I want to go back to that main landing page. So I'm just going to go up here and hit this button that says Savvis Realize. That'll take me back to that main landing page. Now that I've got information on, whether or not my Google Classroom classes are attached and which classes are attached, let me go ahead and start browsing content. So to browse that content, I could go ahead and hit this green circle here. Or you might have some shortcuts directly to the content that you want to go ahead and assign to students right here. You can go ahead and click on that. But let me hit the browse button in case you have more than one content area that you're teaching. Let's say elementary schools, teachers, you might be teaching literacy as well as math and social studies and science. But I know middle and high school teachers, you may only have one subject that you're teaching, or maybe two. Maybe you're teaching Algebra 1 and geometry or something like that. So it looks a little different depending on if you're in elementary versus if you're in middle school or high school. So I can scroll down and view all of the content that is available to me to assign to my students. Your screen won't look exactly like mine because I just happen to have so many content areas available to me. But you'll have the content areas that you chose, the programs that you chose to add once you connected your Google Classroom class. They will show up right here. Again, you might not have as many as I do because I just happen to have a bunch because this is a demo account. Now let me go ahead and choose a program. So let me go ahead and choose grade 7 mathematics. I think that's a good middle point. So let me go ahead and choose that here. Now I know that many of you have already seen or sort of get the understand the layout of Realize and how it's organized. I want to remind you that we're at the table of contents view. You can toggle between the thumbnail view or the list view for the table of contents view. The thumbnail view is sort of better if you're using like a tablet and you're touching the screen and the icons are a little bigger. But the list view is, I guess, more appropriate if you're on a laptop or a desktop computer. You can see the different assets available to assign to students easier. You'll have more assets you can see, more links that you can click on and folders that you can click on. I also want to point out something else. there's a toggle switch up here that says Show Distance Learning Resources. This focuses all of the content that is available and all of the assignable features that are available. It focuses only on the distance learning resources. So these are the things that you would look at if you're strictly doing distance learning over the computer. You might want to toggle that on. You'll also notice that any asset that's a distance learning resource has this sort of icon here. It looks like a book with a little house. That is an asset that you know is a distance learning resource. So just an FYI there in case you didn't already know that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and go into a topic. I'm gonna choose topic 1 here. And again, you'll still see that toggle, and that toggle happens to be on right now. But if I were to turn it off, you'll notice that I have a lot more assets that I can choose from to assign to my students. However, if I just want to simply focus on those distance learning resources, let me go ahead and choose that toggle, and it will take me straight to those distance learning resources. So let me go back really quick. Let me hit this left arrow here and just let you know that currently I'm at the table of contents view. Once I started at the table of contents, I chose to click topic 1. In this case, topic 1 is chapter 1. Okay, so once I chose topic 1, I came to the topic level view. Now that I'm in this topic, I happen to know that, there are 10 lessons in here, plus the 3-act mathematical modeling lesson. Let me go ahead and choose that first lesson here. And again, you'll see that that distance learning toggle is enabled, showing me exactly the resources I would want to assign to my students for distance learning. If I were to turn this toggle off, again, you'll see a lot more resources that you can use, but the ones that I want to focus on, I'll just hit that toggle for distance learning, will pop up right here. Now, when I'm assigning something to my students, I can go ahead and hit that assign button. And before I do that, let me just quickly show you that when you hover above the word assign, you'll notice it turns blue here. And once you hit that assign button, you'll see a window pop up, allowing you to either rename the assignment, choose the start date and the due date, provide any additional instructions, and assign the content to a specific class. So I'm gonna rename this. I'm gonna call this homework for September 8th. Call that homework for September 8th. And say math. I'm gonna choose a date and say, yeah, this is gonna start today, on the 8th, and I'm gonna make it due tomorrow, the 9th. In fact, I really want my students to complete this before I have my my meeting with them tomorrow. Let's say I'm doing a webinar with my students. I can go ahead and choose some start and end times. So this will start at 11 a.m. and I want it to be done by, let's say, 9 a.m. tomorrow, because at 9:30, maybe I'll have a meeting with my students. I'll provide any additional instructions. Ensure you complete this assignment before 9 a.m. Wednesday, September 8th, September 9th. There we go. All right. Now here's the part where we go ahead and assign the content to our Google Classroom class. Under here, if I type in the first couple of letters of my class, I'll see that all of my classes will come up that match those first couple of letters. And I'll know I have that this is a Google Classroom class if I see this little Google Classroom class icon. That little green and yellow with the yellow border icon indicates that that is a Google Classroom class. So once I click on that, I'll see that, oh, okay, that is the class I want to assign it to. If I wanted to assign this to an individual student, I could type in that student's name, and I happen to see that I have a student here named Happy Student. So the first name of the student is Happy, and the last name of the student is Student, and it tells me what class they're from. I just happen to call this class. Now, I want to mention something here, and this is just an FYI. Let's say you assigned something to your students last week. All of a sudden this week, you get a brand new student in your classroom, and they've just transferred in your class. If you want that student to see the content that you had already assigned to them last week, you'll have to reassign it to that one student, okay? So the student does not automatically see the content that was assigned before they were in that class. You would have to assign it to that student. And that's one of the reasons why I'm showing you that you can type in the student's name and assign it directly to that student. Any questions so far before I go on?
Nope, not that I've seen. Thank you, Ryan.
All right, let's move on then. So let's hit that assign button here. And you'll notice that it says your assignment was created and realized and will appear in Google Classroom soon, okay? So let me go to Google Classroom. I'm logged in as a teacher here. And I'm just gonna refresh this page. And I can see, since I said that the assignment doesn't start till 11 a.m. and it's currently 10:45, it's not gonna show up until 11 a.m. So let me assign something now. Let me go ahead and assign something now. I'm gonna call this another assignment and say the start date is today and I'll make it due tomorrow. I'm gonna assign it again just so that way it'll show up. All right, so now when I go back here and I refresh the page, you'll see that it shows me that other assignment. So this is the assignment that I just assigned at 10:45 a.m. It says Ryan Vankel posted a new assignment via Savvis Realize, and I called it another assignment. So let me click on that assignment, and I'll see that I only have one student in my class. And so this has been assigned to that one student. So far, nobody has turned it in, but one student has been assigned. All right. You'll see that whenever you assign content in Realize, it will automatically show up in not only your classroom stream, but the student's classroom stream. So I'm going to quickly change the window here and show you that this is now my student screen. So I am logged in as my student here. That's why you see an H here. This is H for happy student. I am logged in as a student here. So now I see it says due tomorrow, 11:59 p.m., something called another assignment. I'll click on that. And I'll see that my teacher, Ryan Vankel, posted a new assignment called another assignment at 10:45 a.m. So I'll click on this link here. And if my teacher left any additional directions, I can do that here. And your students should know how to use Google Classroom. If they want to add a comment, they can do that. But if I want to go ahead and work on this, I will simply click this button here that says another assignment. And that'll take me into Savvis Realize. Notice you can either wait for the counter to take you there, or you could just click the button that says take me there now, but it'll take you in 10 seconds regardless. And I have automatically been placed into my Google Classroom class. I'm sorry, my class in Savvis Realize. Now I see my assigned work. All right, I can see the start date, I can see the due date, I can add a comment if I'd like, or let me go ahead and get started on this. Let me click on this and let me start this assignment here. All right, so the temperature was -6 degrees. It rose so that the temperature was 0 degrees. This represents, I think, a +6. I'm not really good at math. Let's see if I got it right. Oh, I did get it right. Let me go on to the next question. Trevor spent $27 and now has no money left. He had, I guess he had $27 before his purchase. That makes sense, right? All right. So I'm going to answer a few of these. Let me get some wrong here. On Monday, the prices of an online movie dropped $3 in the morning, then another $3 that afternoon. The following Monday morning, the price increased by $6. The price of online movie did change from Monday to the following Monday morning. Let's go ahead and choose that. Oh, I got it wrong. So let me just leave that as marked wrong. And let me just do another couple of questions here. Choose the correct answer. Check my answer. Nope, got that wrong. Let's try it again. Oh, I didn't get it correct. Now, I want you guys to be mindful of something. Once a student is ready to submit their assignment, let's say they're here, it'll tell them, hey, you've answered your first 3 questions. You didn't answer 4, 5, and 6. You answered 7. You didn't answer 8 through 16. And the student must hit this button that says submit my work in order for me to understand that they are done and they are ready for me to grade it. As a teacher, I can go in and view their progress up until the due date before they've submitted their work. But once they've submitted their work, that indicates that they're ready for me to grade it. Now, this is important. The reason this is important is because as a student, I may have worked on questions 1 through 3 for like 5 minutes, and maybe somebody had to use the computer or I had to log off because I had something else to do. After I do that, I can come back, log in again, and continue working on my assignment. It will save my work. Therefore, once I'm ready to submit my work, I must go ahead and scroll down and hit this button that says submit my work. That indicates that I am ready for the teacher to grade it. Again, as a teacher, you can go in and see the progress of your students, how they're doing, if they've answered some questions, if they're still struggling, and so on. But until they hit that submit my work button, it won't show that it's ready to be graded. So once I hit submit my work, I'll see that, I got a 13%. I got 2 questions out of 16 correct. And if I want, I can even go in and look at my correct and incorrect answers. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go back into the Google Classroom tab. And you'll notice that my score here has automatically been updated. I got a 13 out of 100. And I'm just viewing this as a student. So let me click here. Let me click on my my class here. Let me see my classwork. I see that this is due tomorrow. Okay. And once I click on it, I can view my assignment here, and I can see that I got a 13 out of 100. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and click on this right here. Now I'm logged in as a teacher in Google Classroom. So now that I'm logged in as a teacher, I can see my one student, happy student, has submitted their work, and they got a 13 out of 100. Therefore, you know that the students have, the minute that the student completes their assignment and Realize, that is automatically updated in Google Classroom for the students. So I have a question for everyone, and I want everybody to think about this. I noticed that as a student, once my teacher assigned something to me, so once I was here, as a student, once my teacher assigned something to me, I simply just have to click on the link in my Google Classroom stream in order to go to Realize. Does that mean I never necessarily have to go to Realize? I don't have to go to the, let's say, Savvis Realize URL. I can simply just go to Google Classroom, and Google Classroom will take me directly into Realize? The answer is yes. Google Classroom will take students directly into Realize. Therefore, students do not have a need to log in anywhere else to get into Realize. They just have to go through Google Classroom. What about teachers? Do teachers have to log in somewhere else in order to access Realize? Well, yeah, the very first time you'll have to connect your Google Classroom account to Realize. And once you do that, you can access Realize from your Google Classroom account. You could just click on one of the assignments from your stream and it'll take you straight into Realize. All right. Now, so you have that functionality there. You have the ability to go ahead and assign content directly to students from Realize, and it'll show up in their Google Classroom stream. What if you want to provide a perpetual link? Let's say just a link for students to log into Realize, so that way they can, let's say, explore Realize or just view their grades or something. So we want a link available to our students that is not an assignment link. It's more like a link for them to explore their e-text. If they want to read up on tomorrow's lesson, they just sort of want to get ahead of the class. Well, there are directions on how to do that. Right? Let me just go to my class here. There are directions on how to do that in my Savage training. What I'm going to do is I'm going to provide everyone this link. I guess I can provide it to the moderator, and moderator, I guess you can share it with everyone. But let me show you where I found it. First, I'm at my Savage training. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in realize. And then once I do that, I'll come to a page that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and choose Savage Realize here. Then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to click on the Google integration. From there, this tells you information on how to get started, how you start using Realize with Google Classroom, the teacher experience, the student experience, how to connect Google Classroom, and so on. You have some different steps here. Okay? Well, let me click on View All Training here. Once I do that, I will choose the teacher side of things. So let me go ahead and choose this teacher tab. I'm going to scroll down, and I just want to click on something that shows me under the Google integration. I'm going to look for that. I just want to see how to access Realize directly from Google Classroom. This page right here. So this is the link that I'm going to share with everyone. I'm going to go ahead and chat this to everyone. But what it does is that it creates a materials link in Google Classroom, so that way students can access Realize just by clicking on that link. It's like a perpetual link into Realize that students always have, okay? And this is useful in case a student wants to just explore Realize because they want to read the e-text. They don't necessarily have an assignment due. They just want to explore the e-text or maybe check their grades or something like that, all right? So it says here, and let me go ahead and resize this here. It says that once I'm in Google Classroom, I'll go ahead and go in my Google Classroom class. It says sign into your Google Classroom teacher account. Then it says click the class where you want the material link to Realize. Then it says click the classwork option at the top. So go ahead and click classwork. So I see that I have some classwork that I've already assigned to my students, and another assignment that's scheduled to start at 11 a.m. Then it says click create. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. And this time I'm going to choose the material option. So I'm not creating an assignment, I'm creating a material. Let me choose material. And then I'm going to call this, all right, Realize perpetual access link. Let me give it a description. Use this link to explore Realize if you do not have an assignment. Okay. Now, so I've created a title, I've created a description, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click add here for the link. I'm going to choose a link here. I must choose a link. And when you choose that link, you must take copy and paste this link right here. I'm just going to copy this link here. I'm going to go here and I'm going to paste that link and click add link. Now, it'll say this item will then appear as a classwork sign-in, just so that students can always sign in whenever they need to, okay? And I can choose which classes I want that for, what topic. And once I'm done with that, let me go ahead and post it. And I now have that perpetual access link right here. So let me show you what that would look like from the student's perspective. Let me go back into a student. I'm logged in as happy student again. Let me go ahead and hit refresh. So now I don't have any assignments that I have to do. But if I just want to go into Realize to read my e-text or something as a student, I could just click on this link, Realize Perpetual Access link, and click here. It says use this link to explore Realize if you do not have an assignment. So I'm going to click here, and it'll take me there. So let's say I want to, I don't know, let me click on my algebra book. Logged in as a student. Maybe I want to read the e-text. Let me click on this e-text here. Let me open it up. Let me wait for that to load. And now I can go ahead and read my e-text here. Maybe I want to take a look at this topic 4 here. Let's take a look at topic 4. Maybe I want to click on something else here. I can go ahead and click on specific lessons here. And I have that ability to do that. Okay. All right, so you have that capability there. That gives you the ability to have your students log into a program and just start looking at different things. Maybe they want to take a look at the student edition for this. I'm looking at chapter 2, and go ahead and open up chapter 2. And now I can go ahead and read chapter 2 on my own. There we go, let me pull that up from my social studies program. And maybe I'm just trying to get ahead of the class. I want to read up on this information today so that way I am ready for class tomorrow, or maybe I just found this interesting. So I have that functionality available. Also, maybe I want to just click on classes here and I noticed that, oh, these are my 2 classes. Maybe I want to click on a class and see, oh, these are some things that I haven't started. These are things that I have in progress, and these are some things that I have completed. You can see all of that there as well. Just like teachers, the students will have this button here at the top left that will take them to that main landing page, that Realize landing page. And it will just take me here where I can either view my classes, view my grades, or browse my programs. And browsing the programs are like looking at available videos, or looking at the e-text, or different interactivities, whatever is available for the students, that is what we have there. So I do want to take a pause and see if there are any questions before I move on.
Nope, we still don't have any questions. You're doing great, man.
All right. So what I want to do is let me go ahead and share that link with everyone that I just had. And I know I showed everyone how to get to it, but I'm going to go ahead and share this link. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link. And I don't know if I can chat the link here. Yes, I can. I can chat the link. So this is the Realize Google Classroom Access link. We paste that there. And you have that. And that gives you the directions on how to create that perpetual access for students to access the program if you don't assign an assignment. Okay.
Ryan, we actually didn't see that link come through anywhere. I don't think we have issues with people posting links in the chat on YouTube. Is that where you posted that?
In Hangouts, I just.
Oh, okay. Let me check real quick then. I'll find it. You can go ahead and keep going. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, and if we don't, if that's something that doesn't work, then we'll just go ahead and I'll provide that at a later time. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is how to ensure that your students know how to access the platform and how to provide them support in case they need it. So what happens from time to time is that sometimes you'll have some students get a little frustrated on, hey, how do I access this, or how do I do this, or how do I do that? And there are tons of videos that have already been created in order to guide the students on how to use the platform correctly. The first place I'm going to show you how to access that is through YouTube, because YouTube just happens to have tons of information on how to access the program. So let me go ahead and pull up a new tab here. I'm going to go to YouTube here. I'm going to show you all that information that is available. Okay. So on my YouTube page, I happen to have Savvis Learning already bookmarked as a subscription. So let me go ahead and choose Savvis Learning. Okay. And once I'm here, I'll notice that there's a ton of videos available to me as not only as a student, but also as a teacher on how to use the platform. So I'm going to click on videos here really quick. Actually, let me choose playlists. Playlist is probably a better option. Okay. So you'll see that there is a Savvis Realize for Parents and Students playlist that has several videos. Hello and welcome. On how to use Realize. So how to explore your home page, how to access classes, how to check grades and view feedback, how to access the e-text offline, an in-depth look at working on assignments, an in-depth look at discussion assignments, and so on. There's tons of information there. And all of these videos are short videos designed to target a specific question. If your parents or students, or even you, if you have questions, you can always take this YouTube video and send it to a parent, send it to a student, post it on your Google Classroom page somewhere in there that explains to students how to use Realize. Additionally, if I go back here, I'm going to go back to my playlist and let me see if I can go back without having this show up. No, well, I don't know how to do that. Let me go ahead and click on this. It says Savvis Realize and Google Classrooms. Let me click this right here.
Hi, it's Stephanie from the Realize team,
and let me start off. You'll notice that there's a teacher experience and there's a student experience. Let me start off with the student experience, and then we'll go back into the teacher experience. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you guys.
Hi, Stephanie from the Realize team here to share with you the improved student experience in Google Classroom. From logging in to reviewing results, students can access more content more easily than ever. Once you've imported your Google Classroom classes and assigned content, your students can simply log into Google Classroom and see their Realize assignment right in their class stream. After their first login, when they'll set up their account, you'll notice that students no longer need to log in separately to Realize. Once they're logged into their Google account, they can access any of their assigned work in Realize. When they've finished their assignment and submitted it, the status is automatically updated in Google Classroom. Students will then be able to see their scores right in Google Classroom or link back to Realize for more details on their results. It's as simple as that. One login and students have access to all their Realize content right in Google Classroom.
So, you can definitely use this link here as a way to explain how the students would go ahead and use, or as an introduction on how the students would use Google Classroom with Realize. There's also a video for teachers as well, sort of summarizing everything.
It's Stephanie from the Realize team, and I'm so excited to share with you some new features that will enhance the way Realize works with Google Classroom. You'll have access to more content and more data in Google than ever before. Getting started couldn't be easier. First, you'll need to import your Google Classroom classes to Realize. Log into Realize and you'll see a new banner that provides access to the import feature, or check out the new import option in the settings menu. Once you're logged in, select the classes you want to connect with Realize, and then add the programs that you use with those classes. Your imported classes will always automatically stay up to date and in sync. Any changes made to your Google Classroom rosters will immediately be reflected in Realize. With these new enhancements, you aren't limited in the assignments you can make to your Google classes. You can easily customize and assign all assignable content to your classes, small groups, or individual students. And once you assign it in Realize, it will appear right in your Google Class stream. Best of all, when your students complete assignments, you can both see the results in Google Classroom. Plus, you'll still have access to the detailed data reports on Realize on all of their graded assignments. Realize and Google Classroom now work together seamlessly for you and your students. Don't forget to preview the improved student experience and stay tuned for future enhancements.
All right. Now, if you feel that you need some additional support getting started setting up your Google Classroom class, you'll see that there are some additional videos here explaining how to get started with Google Classroom. You can click on this video this video for step 1, and this will walk you through how exactly you would import your class, your Google Classroom class, into Realize. Okay, so that is there to support you, and you have another step here that explains something else, as well as step 3. So this is one way that you can sort of help yourself understand how to import your Google Classes, and how to help your students understand or give them an overview of what that experience would look like. Now, once your Google Classroom class has been connected to Realize and your students are able to log in, you may want to provide students and parents with that additional support on things like, hey, how do I check my grades, or how do I submit an assignment, and so on. So if I go back to my playlist here, I'm going to go ahead and choose my playlist. You definitely want to choose the playlist that says Savvis Realize for Parents and Students. Okay, and that will that playlist there will have all of the material necessary, or all of the different videos that you can provide parents in case they need some additional support there. All right, now YouTube is one place that you can go in order to get some information on how to use Google Classroom with Realize, and also where you can go to get some tutorials for parents and students. Another place that you should keep in mind is mysavvistraining.com. So I've shown you My Savvis Training already, mysavvistraining.com. Once I'm here, I can go ahead and choose Realize. Just type in Realize there to search for it. Once you've searched for Realize, you definitely want to choose the option at the bottom that says Savvis Realize, right here. Now, from here, you can either choose one of the subgroups here, like additional resources, administrator tasks, show me the data in the classroom, jump right in, or I could just click View All Training to see all of the different videos and tutorials available to me. Since I'm a teacher, I may want to just click on the Teacher tab here and expand it. And I can see some information on how to navigate content, how to assign content, create and manage classes, and so on. Since you are using Google Classroom, I suggest you scroll down to where it says Google Integration, right here. And then you'll see some guides here explaining how to create a Google Classroom class, how the student joins, how the teacher verifies a student, a quick start guide, and an integration video. This is another integration video that you can watch as a teacher to give you an idea of how Google Classroom and Realize work together. I provided everybody this link already where it says how to access Realize directly from Google Classroom. That's that perpetual link that will stay in the Google Classroom materials section of Google Classroom for students, so that way they can always go there. You'll also see an integration FAQ, some frequently asked questions, how to sync Google Classes, a help center, and a Google Hangouts help center as well. And if we scroll down, I can expand the help for students. Let's say you want to provide something for your students, how to browse programs, explore classes, use discussions, and so on. Simply click on the detail button, and you can copy this URL here and paste it anywhere for your students to access if they need any support. All right. So at this time, I want to make sure that there are no questions, or I'd like to open this up to questions if anybody has any questions, or if there's anything else anybody wants me to show them how to do.
So I posted in there if anybody has any questions. There's a slight delay from like the time on here until it hits the channel, so we can give it like 20-30 seconds to see if anybody has anything to put in there. Still not seeing anything come through yet. Nope, I'm not seeing anything, Ryan.
All right. So at this point, I guess, see here, I can just sort of walk everyone through some of the resources available here that I think would be great for them to look at.
That'd be great.
Yep. So again, on My Savage Training, once you're here at My Savage Training, I suggest you immediately scroll down to the Google integration. And if you follow steps 1 through 7, that will give you information on simply how to connect your Google Classroom class to your Realize account and how to verify that students are able to log in and such. Additionally, I want to mention something. Don't forget that as a teacher, so let me go back to my teacher account here. Once you're in your classes, you will see that your Google Classroom classes will have this green icon that has this sort of yellow border. If one of your classes does not have this green icon with this yellow border, that means that it's not a Google Classroom class. It was probably created by your Jefferson School Student Information System. So there'll be a button that allows you to hide it. And the reason why I'm saying that is sometimes our students will get confused. They don't know, oh, do I go through Google Classroom to do the assignment, or do I go directly into Realize? And there's sort of two different classes, so we don't want our students to get confused about that. So you're gonna wanna hide the ones that are not Google Classroom classes if you are using Google Classroom. And don't worry if you hide them, because you'll always see them under hidden. If I hit this button here that says hidden, I can always unhide them at a later time. And you'll notice that I purposely hid these two classes because they do not have the Google Classroom icon indicating that they were imported from Google Classroom. You can always, in the future, import more Google Classroom classes just by hitting that Import Google Classes button. If you're ever having an issue, you can hit this Sync with Google button and it will force a sync with Google Classroom and Realize. Now, Google Classroom and Realize should automatically be synced, but if there's ever an issue, you can always force that sync by hitting this and it will automatically sync with Google Classroom. Now, let's say I'm here in Realize and I want to access my Google Classroom class as a teacher. In order to do that, I'll simply hit this button here that says View in Google, and you'll see that my class in Google Classroom will pop up right here. Okay. So I can access this directly I can access my Google Classroom stream directly from Realize. Well, let's say I want to access Realize directly from Google Classroom. I can either click on this perpetual access link and click in here, and that'll take me to Realize, or I can click on an assignment and that'll take me to Realize as well. So, after your first time as a teacher, once you've set up you've connected your Realize account directly to your Google Classroom account, you don't have to log into Realize separately. You could just log in directly into Google Classroom, and then it'll take you into Realize. I hope what I said is not confusing and that makes sense to everyone.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So are you going to be our presenter this afternoon as well?
Yes, I believe so. I will at the 2 o'clock presentation, I believe.
Yes. Yep, that's correct.
All right.
All right, Ryan. Well, we appreciate you being on here, man. Do you have anything, any final notes or anything to end us with? Sorry, we don't have too many questions coming through. We appreciate you being here. We had a lot of learning coaches in here earlier, so our teachers are probably doing classes this morning, so our attendance is a little lower. But as they start to end around lunchtime, hopefully we'll get some more in here for you this afternoon.
All right, sounds good. So that's all I have for now. I don't know if we want to end this early and we'll just pick up at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure showing you the integration with Realize and Google Classroom. Take care.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So it is 11:18, and we just finished. If you look at our schedule, our Savas Realize Training Part 2, we will be back at 12:30 with Jim Unger, and he will be back with us with our Savas friends again for Realize Training Part 1. Then Title I BOY updates for school admin and PFE leads. Then we have Savas Realize Training Part 2, and then I'm looking at the right part of the schedule. Okay. And then we have the multi-tiered systems of support web resources to end our day. So thank you so much for tuning in with us this morning. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at JCPSDigIn and tweet to the hashtag JCPSDigIn. You can find our schedule at jcps.me/NTI. Go to the Teacher Toolkit and click on Live Virtual Learning Schedule. And we will be back at 12:30 in the afternoon. Thank you so much.